The sky is dark, the fire burns, you strive in vain as fate's wheel turns. Soldiers arise, stand and fight, bring victory at last to this fallen knight.
Hello guys, this is Donald's Movies, and today I have a bit of a different video. So this one is the Halloween special, and it is something I planned on covering last year around this time, but I kinda missed out on the date, so I thought I would do it now. Now, pretty much everyone that has played World of Warcraft around this period has seen the flying Headless Horseman, but not that many people actually know that he has quite a decent story and is actually related to the current lore, and was mostly covered in the Warcraft comics, so that's why not many people actually know about him. So, without further ado, let's get into his story. So, surprisingly enough, long ago, the Headless Horseman, also known as Sir Thomas Thompson, was a valiant knight of the Silver Hand, and he had fought alongside Uther and Arthas during the Warcraft 3 events. Now, he is also the one who saw Arthas as a monster, and went with Uther and most of the Silver Hand when the prince proposed that they should purge the entire city of Stratholme. Now, Sir Thomas, as most of the knights of the Silver Hand, was an honorable man, and he would do anything to defend his people, but his kindness sort of turned against him. Now, sometime after he split from Arthas, he was stationed in a small village where his first troubles began. Now, the village he was in was low on supplies, and Baron Rivendare, who was a wealthy noble, sent supplies in order to help the people, or at least that is what Thompson saw him as. Now, that night he didn't even eat in order to clear his mind from all the troubles, but his troubles were just beginning as most of the villagers were infected by the plague and turned on him, so he had to cut his way through all of the villagers and send them to their final rest. Now, he saw this event as his fault, as he was there to protect them, but in the end he was the one who had to kill them all. Now, the Silver Hand assured him that there was nothing he could have done, and they sent him home to recover from all these traumatic events. While he was on his way, the situation in Lordaeron was just getting worse and worse. Now, the news were out that King Terenas Menethil was killed by his own son Arthas, who he once fought beside. He saw that the situation wasn't getting any better, and since he heard that Jaina Proudmoore was going to Kalimdor, he told his wife and children to go there and be safe. Now, at first, his wife refused, and he accepted that because he knew he would never see them again if they actually left. But once the news came true that Uther the Lightbringer, the leader of the Silver Hand, and his mentor was slain as well, he begged his wife to leave as he couldn't bear any more losses. Now, his wife agreed, and the next day, she took the children and left for Kalimdor. So after that, Thomas stayed and joined the remnants of the Silver Hand, now led by Alexander Smograin, wielding the Ashbringer, which was a perfect weapon against the undead and was forged using the orb from the Warlock in Ironforge. Now, for a few years they were making progress against the Wild Scourge, but Alexander Smograin's fate was soon to change. His own son, Renault Morgraine, betrayed him and led him into Scourge Trap, which at first sight looked almost hopeless for Alexandros, but he actually managed to cut down through all of their forces, and at the end, when he killed everyone, he dropped his sword and his own son picked it up and stabbed him in the back. Now, this was around the time the Scarlet Crusade was formed from the remnants of the Silver Hand, and Seidan Detrohan had the main role here, and he was the one behind the entire corruption of Renault. But in the end, it wasn't even his fault, as his corpse was possessed by Balnazar, that was working for Kil'Thuzad, and Kil'Thuzad was in charge in order to destroy all the human resistance, and they did do so from within, and that's how they managed to get the entire corruption thing going. Now, the Scarlet Crusade was different for Thomas, as they weren't just these noble men looking to do justice, as most of their actions were kinda questionable. Now, occasionally, the Scarlet Crusade would go into a town and check it for the plague, and most of the towns were completely destroyed and all of the citizens slaughtered, even though they were perfectly healthy. Now, Thomas is an honorable man, saw this as wrong and questioned it, but they explained to him that the Scarlet Crusade has discovered a new method of the Lich King, and that what Lich King does is he takes these towns that are fully healthy in order to attract more people so that he can get a bigger prize for himself. Now, Sir Thomas saw this, and even though doubting it, he went through it because he was tricked so many times and he felt really dumb and stupid for doing all this stuff, and since his righteousness and kindness led him to trouble, he actually accepted the Scarlet Crusade's proposal. Now, do keep in mind that at this point he was sort of mentally changed and he wasn't as he was before, as he has seen many massacres and betrayals. Now, later on he went with it and didn't even see that he was doing the exact same thing as Arthas a few years back, which at the time he saw as a wild monstrous act. Now, he was doing his job until one day when the Scarlet Crusade discovered a new place filled with healthy villagers. At the front lines, he murdered a woman and a child, and just as he was about to strike a little girl, he immediately recognized his daughter. Then he realized that he had just murdered his family in cold blood and that they weren't safe in Kalimdor as there was a storm and they never really sailed from Lordran, and they wanted to stay with him in order to be protected, but he was the one who actually killed him. Now he completely broke down and asked for the light for forgiveness, but there was none, and he was locked back in a chamber in the monastery in order to work out through his grief. Now on Hallow's End, Death Rohan persuaded Thomas to join the fight against the undead once more, but everything changed this time. Now he went into a frenzy, murdering every single undead that he saw, and was even nearly overwhelmed, and that is when the Scarlet Crusade stepped in to help. But he actually turned on them as well, viciously striking like they were the undead, and the Scarlet Crusade was forced to behead Sir Thompson and take his body into the Scarlet Monastery. But instead of burning his body in his honor for what he once was, Balnazar in the body of Deathrohan raised him from the dead, giving him the strength and controlling him. And even to this day, Sir Thomas is riding across the skies on Hallow's End, setting buildings ablaze and trying to cleanse his homeland of any possible threat. Now in my opinion, this is quite a sad story, as such an honorable knight of the Silver Hand witnessed so much death and betrayal that in the end he lost his mind and his head as well, and now he doesn't even get the afterlife and is stuck haunting the Hallow's End. And that is all I have for this Halloween special. Thanks a lot for watching, and do give me some feedback on what you would like to see next. Also don't forget to like, favorite and subscribe, as it really helps out the channel and keeps these videos going. And also check out my twitch.tv stream, as I stream there a bit more seriously now, a few times a week, multiple games, and you can also ask me all sorts of questions. Thanks for taking the time out of your day to watch this video, and see you next time.